Most of us were not taught how our bodies actually work. We were not taught how to truly nourish ourselves in order to support fertility. We weren't even taught that fertility matters whether we are trying or not trying to conceive during those reproductive years. The problem with outsourcing our fertility is that often we need to go deeper. While all of these things like hormone hacks, fancy supplements can be helpful and do have a time and a place, if we're not first backing up and taking a deep dive into the foundations and really supporting the foundations of our health, then those extra things are not going to be of as much help or of as much use. So today I want to talk about 5 different foundations of fertility and how to best support them in order to really get that body nourished and ready to conceive through supporting the metabolism, digestion, blood sugar regulation, all the different things that are going to have that impact on reproductive health. That way, instead of outsourcing everything, we get to really go back to the roots and really understand how to best support our individual bodies. You will be able to support your body's natural rhythms. And when I talk about natural rhythms, that includes fertility from a whole body perspective, because the reproductive system is not a separate entity. It is deeply interconnected with every other system in your body. And that's what addressing these foundations ensures that you support, is that whole body. Number 1 would be a nutrient-dense diet. Now, this is important for so many reasons, but it is super foundational because though it's not necessarily a body system, it's going to influence every single system in your body, because a nutrient-dense diet is what builds every single cell that you have. And it builds that egg quality. It builds up that uterine lining. It supports digestion because it builds all those different hormones involved in digestion. It helps the stomach lining to be supported. It regenerates cells. Same with blood sugar regulation. It builds up those hormones involved in blood sugar regulation. It helps to prevent major spikes, major dips. When we have a nutrient-dense diet, our whole body is going to be really supported. So here are 5 tips to go along with that nutrient-dense diet. Number 1 would be to consume high-quality animal proteins. Now, I am big on a whole diverse diet. I do not like the dogma of carnivore or vegan or anything that's really restrictive, because I believe that our bodies were created to enjoy a variety of foods. And when you really look into it, research shows that we need to have that diversity in our diets. So those animal proteins are really going to provide all of the essential amino acids that we need in order to build basically everything in our body, especially for pregnancy, where things like glycine become an essential amino acid that we can only get from animal proteins. Now, when I'm talking about animal proteins, this is the whole animal. So not just the muscle meats that we're eating nowadays, but like you want meat that you have to slow cook off the bone, meat that still has the skin on it, all of the different parts of the animal, so that we're truly getting the nutrients we need. Number 2, speaking of eating the whole animal, would be organ meats. Now, these have so many nutrients in them that are absolutely essential for fertility, for pregnancy, for postpartum, just for the reproductive years in general. And when we consume organ meats, we're really going to be getting a wider variety of, especially those fat soluble vitamins that are just going to be a lot more bioavailable when we get them from those organ meats. Now, if you're not really a fan of organ meats, you can also take them in supplement form. So don't even worry about that. I will provide some links down below that you can go to check out supplement forms of those organ meats. Number 3 would be healthy fats. Now, fat is a pretty controversial topic, and there's a lot of debate over what is going to be best, but we really want those fats that are going to provide those fat soluble vitamins while also not being as prone to causing inflammation in the body. So we want to look at ghee, grass-fed butter, all of the animal products being grass-fed is really important. I forgot to mention that earlier. But yeah, ghee, grass-fed butter, olive oil if it's cold pressed and extra virgin, same with avocado oil, coconut oil. We just want those clean, high quality fats, and we want a good amount of them, especially for fertility and pregnancy. Number 4 would be eating that daily rainbow of your fruits and veggies. Especially, I really like root vegetables because those are going to provide a lot of high quality carbs that are really essential for hormone health. Finally, we want to take a look at those mineral rich foods. I mean, all these are mineral rich, but like we really want to focus on things that are going to provide electrolytes, gut healing, all those extra little things that are super important for pregnancy. So things such as bone broth, collagen, gelatin. Again, those are all animal products, but they're so important for that fertility. But also things like bee pollen, seaweed. I'm a big fan of raw milk, and I say that with the disclosure that when you get raw dairy products, it's really important that you know where you're sourcing them from so that you can safely consume them. But those are also very mineral rich, very nutrient dense, very good for that fertility for so many different reasons. The second foundation I want to talk about is stress management and stress regulation, because lowering our stress is really important for supporting that whole body, but also, again, really supporting that fertility, because when we reduce our stress, we reduce a lot of that inflammation within our bodies, which just allows all of the signaling to work better, cell regeneration to work better, egg quality to be improved, the uterine lining to be improved, hormonal pathways to work better. We want to reduce that inflammation as much as possible. And one of the ways we can do that is by reducing the stress surrounding our daily lives, as well as that internal stress, which comes from supporting the other foundations. So here are 5 tips for helping with that stress management. And number 1, and I know this can be hard, but I highly recommend starting your mornings out slow. Don't get out of bed and be in a crazy rush right away, but instead take 30 minutes to an hour to really wake up, journal, pray, read scripture, or take a walk. Like, do all these things with intention and trying to slow down your mornings, because we don't want to spike that cortisol as soon as we hop out of bed, even if that means we have to wake up slightly earlier to just get that slow start in the morning. Number 2 would be to take daily walks without those AirPods in. I'm not going to get into the AirPods today, but just don't wear them in general. But yeah, just take a daily walk or a couple daily walks without distractions. If you want to please take your phone for safety's sake, but you can put it in airplane mode and just put it away so that you don't have that distraction, but instead you're able to just be in nature and be present and soak in that fresh air. that can be so beneficial to that stress management. Number 3 is to practice saying no to things that are going to drain you. Our schedules do not need to be filled to a T, and key to letting go and surrendering and really letting that stress wipe away is being willing to no longer fill our to-do lists to the brim, but instead start saying no to things and start filling in more gaps with rest. Number 4 on that stress management would be to take a nice long magnesium filled bath in the evening if you are able, or even just a little foot bath. Magnesium is super calming and really helps with the body's stress response. And while I don't always recommend magnesium oral supplementation without taking an HTMA test, I love taking magnesium baths or putting magnesium oil on, because that is really going to help your body absorb that and calm down, especially before bed. And then number 5 would be to just breathe. While I talk about like being really intentional about slowing down when you first wake up, you can also be intentional about slowing down throughout the day and just taking a few deep breaths at the top of every hour. This can make a huge difference in your body's overall stress response. Number 3 would be blood sugar regulation. Now, this is a big one because this holds a big impact on your body's stress response, hormonal pathways, inflammation, everything. Blood sugar really impacts everything. Even sleep can be impacted by blood sugar. Pregnancy is impacted by blood sugar regulation, and our blood sugar regulation prior to pregnancy can influence whether we get or don't get gestational diabetes. Not always, because there are some other factors that play into it, but if our blood sugar is off before pregnancy, it's probably going to be off during pregnancy too, and maybe even get worse. So, how do we support our blood sugar regulation and prevent those major spikes and major dips that lead to feeling hangry, tired in the afternoon, shaky, all the things? Well, number 1 would be to never eat a naked carb. What do I mean by this? I mean pair any carb you consume with fiber and protein and fat. I'm a big believer, no matter when you're eating, whether it's a meal or a snack, to have a complete plate bowl. So proteins, fats, carbs, fiber, the whole gambit, because this is going to make sure your body is getting all the energy it needs, but also it's going to slow that blood sugar absorption. Tip number 2 would be to drink apple cider vinegar before your meals. Now, you don't need a ton, you need like a tablespoon, and you can dilute it with water. I also recommend drinking it with a straw so that you don't ruin the enamel on your teeth, but this can play a big role in helping to reduce how quickly our body absorbs that sugar. Number 3 would be to take like a 10-minute walk after each meal, or even just do some heel raises or squats, because this is also going to influence that uptake of the blood sugar and prevent those spikes and dips. Number 4 would be to eat breakfast within 30 minutes to 1 hour of waking before your first cup of coffee, because this is going to really set you up for the rest of the day and really stabilize that blood sugar. And when I say breakfast, I'm talking like 30 grams of protein. So 2 eggs is not going to be enough for you in the morning. You're going to want more than that, because that's really going to set you up for success the rest of the day. Number 5 would be to just avoid things pumped with high sugar in general. I'm a big believer in getting my carb sources from fruits and starchy veggies. And I mean, sourdough as well. But if it comes from a box from the store, or if it is just this dessert loaded in sugar and sugar alone, it's probably not the best choice, especially when we are preparing to conceive. Number 4 would be circadian rhythm. And this is a big one because this is going to really run everything happening in your body, because your body runs off of an internal clock that is dictated by the light. And when I say light, I mean the sunlight. This includes digestion, reproductive hormones, blood sugar regulation, sleep. Everything is dictated by that circadian rhythm. And it is so, so important that we ensure that this is regulated for fertility, pregnancy, postpartum, and just life in general, because this is how our bodies were designed. And we've really come away from that design, especially with the creation of artificial light, that go, go, go lifestyle. We are no longer living in sync with our circadian rhythm. So while we can't be perfect in it, it is good to do the best we can in going back to at least some sort of circadian regulation. So here are some tips on how to do that. Number 1 would be, do not roll over as soon as you wake up and turn your phone on. No. When your alarm goes off, and I'm talking like an old style alarm clock goes off, you turn it off, get out of bed, and go outside and soak in the sunlight outside for, 15 minutes would be ideal, but even if you're just out there for 5 minutes, that is going to be a game changer in the rest of your day. Number 2 would be to avoid blue light exposure after dark. I know that's a hard one, but you can simply do this by getting blue light blockers. And I'm not talking about blue light blockers that you get on Amazon with clear lenses. I'm talking blue light blockers with red lenses, Elton John style. I know they can look crazy, but they don't really feel that different when they're on, and they can make a world of difference. So just pop those on after sunset and wear them until you go to bed. Just make sure not to take them off until after you turn off the lights in your room. You can also get red light bulbs and salt lamps, and these can be a great way to avoid that blue light after dark. Also, go to bed around the same time every night and wake up around the same time every morning. I know it can be super nice to sleep in on the weekends, but this can actually mess with our circadian rhythm. So what's more key is just getting to bed at a decent time all throughout the week, going to bed around the same time, and then waking up at the same time every day, aiming for 7 to 9 hours of sleep. Number 4 would be to eat meals at a consistent time throughout the day, because this can really actually influence those sleep-wake cycles because of how all the different hormones operate in our body. So just getting on a good rhythm with when you eat is a good idea. Keeping in mind that our bodies are more insulin resistant at night, so we want to have more carbs at the beginning of the day and then kind of taper off in the evening and have a lighter meal at night as our last meal. Number 5 would be to just take light breaks throughout the day. So this goes hand in hand with those blood sugar regulation tips, because you can go on that quick walk between meals, but just making sure you're getting light throughout the day just to remind your eyes and your body what time of day it is can really help to keep that circadian rhythm more in sync. Foundation number 5 is digestion. And this is a big one because you can eat all the right foods, but if you're not properly absorbing them, then they're not going to have as much of an impact or be of as much benefit. So how do we support digestion? My biggest tip is to slow down when we are eating, because it is really hard on the digestive system to chew food really fast or eat in a distracted way and then not swallow our food completely chewed. It just is a lot more difficult for the body to break everything down. Going hand in this, though, would be tip number 2, which is to really slow down at mealtime. So, not just properly chewing your food, but taking deep breaths before you eat, letting your senses pick up the fact that you're about to eat, because this is what stimulates that stomach acid production and really tells the body that it is time to eat. It's about to be time to digest. Number 3 would be to add fermented foods to that nutrient dense diet, because this is really going to support that gut health and really help get that microbiome up and running well. 4 goes hand in hand with that slowing down, which is don't eat in front of a screen, because that blue light, when it spikes that cortisol, can actually suppress that stomach acid production and all the things needed for digestion. Number 5 would be to have apple cider vinegar, just like in blood sugar regulation, or something else bitter, such as dandelion tea or digestive bitters, before your meals, because this is going to help stimulate both that stomach acid and bile production and really get the body ready for digestion. When you approach your fertility this way, by supporting the foundations, something shifts, because you become more connected with your body and trust really builds in how amazing the design of your body truly is. Often what we truly need is nourishment and rest in order to really support those foundations and reduce that internal stress, therefore reducing that inflammation and helping those communication pathways throughout our body to be opened up. So if you're wondering, okay, how do I actually get started with this? I recommend picking one tip from the 5 foundations I just laid out and implementing that. I also have this whole video and so much more in my ebook, The 5 Foundations of Fertility, where I really dive deep into every single foundation and the science behind it and how each foundation connects to each other, but also fertility. And I have so many more tips for each foundation that you can dive into in order to start supporting your fertility. That will be in the link to this video. I would love to hear from you now. Please comment below and tell me what you are going to do today to start supporting your foundations. I cannot wait to read and see what you say and see how I can best support you on this journey.